One of these days, I'm going to get it right. One of these days, I'm not going to be moving around or doing anything while I'm getting ready. One of these days. I don't know when that day is going to be, but one of these days. Make sure the girls are set. My bed is big and I always feel like super duper miniature on my bed. Greetings, greetings, greetings. What's up, everybody? How are you? How are you? Welcome, 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 welcome. I feel like I gotta take these off. You know, like you try to be cute and cute goes wrong. Oh my gosh. Tupac 375, what's up? What's going on? Rated for a Lifetime, what's up? What's going on? How's everyone today? Trying to, I don't know, it's one of those weird kind of things where I feel like, there we go. That's better. I'm coming right back. I promise. You know, when they say, if something isn't broken, don't fix it. Yeah, I have a very bad habit of that. He Petty 711, what's going on? Welcome. Bocabello 24, I don't know who you are. I don't accept requests from anybody that is random unless it's something that's been, oh fuck, whoops, pre-scheduled. Sorry, excuse my potty mouth. Yeah. And even with people that I know, like it would have had to have been a conversation beforehand that we're going to do a live chat. So if you're logging on to chat with me live, this is the best it's going to get. You need to join in the conversation as it stands here. Outside of that, I don't accept personal chat requests. Mick McGlee 23, hello, how are you doing? My name is Jeffrey. Nice to meet you, Jeffrey. That's Casey. What's up, mama? How you doing? Okay, so as the general rule, we're going to wait for a few more people to join in, and then we're going to get started with our topics. Our conversation today is two things. So the first topic is going to be, is it an issue in your relationship to introduce a threesome within the first year of your relationship while you're still gelling and forming, getting to know the person? And then the second topic of conversation is going to be, the title is, if he doesn't beat me, he doesn't love me. And that's a discussion that's centered around women who feel like unless they're being abused in some sort of physical way by their partner, that the partner is not really interested in them or the partner doesn't love them. As a whole crazy discussion, it's actually something that I had heard and it totally floored me. Somebody that I was talking to had actually told me the last relationship that he was in, like it was an abusive relationship at request. And that she was also physically aggressive with him. And it had triggered a lot of things for him and caused him to be unable to have a normal relationship. So I wanted us to sort of tackle and discuss that as well. Excuse me while I adjust my, there we go. Okay, so how's everybody feeling tonight? I hope everyone is good. I know the Christmas holidays are around the corner for those of you who celebrate. So boy, I know money is spending left, right, and center for people. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great time of year, and it's also a time of year that really sucks because it's like there's this huge obligation to buy stuff for people and outdo the gifts that somebody else got, and to spend money that you may or may not necessarily have. People take out loans, people mortgage their houses, like people do all manners of craziness in the holiday season in order to accommodate those that they love and buy gifts for people. Kenneth Cross 1, you put the side eyes. Not really sure why, but what's up? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, Bocabello 24. Last week you were on here requesting to chat with me live, and so I'm going to tell you again. I don't go live with people that I don't know because y'all are crazy. And people always want to do some shit that I'm not prepared for. They either want to, you know, expose themselves or have some kind of inappropriate conversation with me. And I'm just not able, because I will tell you about your mama and then make myself the bad guy. And then it's going to be a problem. So let's just not do that. Join the conversation, you know, have a seat, talk with us. And yeah, let it be that. Anyway, so we're going to get started with the discussion. It is 9:05. That is usually about the time that we get going. So, a couple of weeks ago, Kuzo89, what's going on? A couple of weeks ago, Angie, talk to them. Talk to them because they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. They want to come with their foolishness. But you know, one of these days I'm going to surprise somebody and I'm going to take another request and see what happens, because a few weeks back I took one and the man sat in the dark and, you know, it was just really weird and creepy. Anyhow, we'll see how that goes. I don't know, maybe today will be the day. Maybe I feel like being in the spirit of giving and leading up to like the Christmas break. Excuse, boob slip. Yeah, maybe I'll take like a chat request per episode leading up to the Christmas break. We'll see how that goes. Anyhow, so a couple of weeks ago, and you guys know my stance on threesomes. I'm for them if the couple is for them, if the woman that's in the relationship doesn't feel pressured, and as long as she gets to be the one that chooses who the third party is in the threesome, have no problem with it. I'm finding that a lot of men are running into situations where they're having issues with their lady afterwards because they secretly have somebody that they want to be in the threesome, and so they somehow convince or pressure their girl, their wife, their, you know, significant other. Mass Main, what's going on? They convince the other person that they're with to be part of this threesome, knowing all the while that there's a woman that they really want to be involved, and they convince their woman to involve that woman. And what ends up happening is his focus now is on that woman because he knows he's he's never going to get another opportunity to do the things that he wants to do. You understand? So the conversation was, you know, should threesomes be introduced into a relationship within the first 3 to 6 months? And then I thought to myself, you know, I think actually you're playing Russian roulette if you do that. Like, unless your woman is like openly bisexual and she comes to you and says, babe, I want us to have a threesome, even then you still let her choose the woman. She should know enough about you to know what it is that you like in terms of physicality, in terms of personality, sexiness, sex appeal, big, small, medium, thick, SSBBWB, whatever it is, right? She should know enough about you to know who she should be selecting. Old biker, what's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome. But again, always let your woman choose. I feel like it's an issue when you try to introduce a whole bunch of new things within the first 3 to 6 months or even the first year of your relationship, because this is my stance on it. In the first 3 to 6 months, you're in the bubble of euphoria. You're in love. Everything is colored pink. Everything is beautiful. Everything is lovely. Nothing she does or says gets on your nerves. Nothing he does or says gets on your nerves. It's the bubble of euphoria. Everyone goes through it. You know what I mean? I always feel like within the first 6 to 9 months is when babies are accidentally made because everybody's so in love. We're forgetting about condoms. We're forgetting about our pullout game. We're forgetting about all these things, right? And you know, accidents happen and no babies are mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But within that first 3 to 6 months, you're still learning the person and learning a lot about them. Introducing a third party into that mix at that time, I feel like it's a lot. And it could cause an issue, especially if your woman is not inherently bisexual. Canadian SSBB, the girl, what's going on? I'm so happy that you got your page back. Total aside and total interruption on what I was talking about. I'm really happy that you got your page back, and I'm really happy to see you. Hosen Zeta 1111, it's just not happening. The Pum Pum Chronicles, what's going on? Anyhow, within the first 3 to 6 months, you're in the bubble of euphoria. And I feel like introducing a third party into that as the man, introducing a third party into that could cause a lot of upset and a lot of issues. My thing is, you're still learning your woman. You're still learning your woman's body. You're still learning how to please her. You guys are still trying to find a rhythm. You know, you haven't gotten to that point yet where there are disagreements where you have to learn how to recover from them. You haven't gotten to that point yet of truly understanding one another where you should be introducing a new dynamic. If you're closer to a year and you guys have settled into a relationship and you have a good rhythm, that's one thing. But in the first 3 to 6 months, while you're still learning the person, while you're still getting a feel for the person, while you're still working out just even your sexuality with the person and the things that you like, the things that they like, that sort of rhythm and everything else, I don't know. I feel like it's dicey saying, okay, you know, let's bring a third person into this, because what ends up happening is, you know, you pay attention to the new person more because it's like a shiny new toy. Even if your girl is all the way in there and she's licking and sucking and grabbing everything humanly possible, you have one dick. You've got one dick and one dick only, and you're one dick. And I know people will say, okay, well, yeah, my mouth is there. Great orgasm, my love. Yeah, my dick is there and all that sort of, my mouth is there and, I've got hands and fingers. But at the end of the day, really and truly, what everybody's looking for as the finisher is the penis, If the penis is good, that's what they're looking for. And people will get in their feelings. Women will get in their feelings when they feel like you're long stroking the next woman too much. You're dicking down the next woman too much. And even in that moment, if it's not an argument, I guarantee you at some point, it's going to be a point of contention. Mr. Ibrahim 8903, greetings and good evening. Welcome from Senegal. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining the chat. Anyhow, as I was saying, when you're introducing a new person into the situation early on, it can cause a problem. You have all the time in the world to to do those things and to introduce a new element, to suggest a threesome, to look for a threesome, whatever the case may be. It doesn't need to be within the first 3 to 6 months. It doesn't even need to be within the first year. Focus on developing a healthy and stable relationship with the person that you're with. Learn what their triggers are. Learn how to love them. Mr. Wright, greetings. What's going on? Mr. Senegal, I don't accept chat requests from people that I don't know, so it's pointless for you to try to chat request me because I'm just not going to accept it. Join the chat if you'd like. Stay for a while. If not, it was nice to see you here. Oh my goodness me. Anyhow, back to the conversation about threesomes. Yeah, I personally feel like, it just creates a situation where there's too much going on. Like I said, for the man, it's the introduction of new pussy. That's fantastic. Unless your woman is inherently bisexual, unless she, says to you, this is something that I want to do. As a guy, I wouldn't suggest it in the first 3 to 6 months. 88th Wonder, what's up? What's going on? Greetings, welcome. I would leave that kind of conversation alone. Even if you think like it's such a fantastic idea, there is the aftermath of threesomes. And this is the part that people don't think about. They think that it's great in the moment and it's fun and fantastic and it's fine and it's sexy and it's exciting and it spices up the relationship. It does. It really, really does. But there is a conversation that comes afterwards. And that's the part that you have to worry about. Brothers Reed, am I bisexual? Is that important to the conversation? You know what? I'm going to jump in for a second. So Boca Bello, oh, he removed the chat. Boca Bello 24, if you call back, I'll accept the chat request from you because I would like to know what is so pressing and urgent that you need to talk to me about. So we'll leave that there. Ibrahim 8903, I appreciate the compliment, but sir, you don't know me. How could you possibly love me? What is it that you love about me? You love the physical appearance of me because sorry, my business manager is telling me not to answer, so I withdraw it. I'm not going to answer the call anyhow. Dr. Wright, Mr. Wright, suggesting a threesome sounds fun initially to us men, but the concern is surely the aftermath. But that's the thing that I'm saying. That's the part that people don't think about. They think that it's great and it's fun, it's fantastic in the moment, and it is. It's exciting. It's a new element. All the great things that go along with it. There's usually alcohol involved. Like it's a rush. But again, what ends up happening is the conversation that you have to deal with and the aftermath that you have to deal with when that whole situation is done. As a man, especially if it's something that you suggested and your woman feels slighted or your woman feels like she didn't get enough time, it becomes a problem. On my podcast page, which is the Pum Pum Chronicles podcast, there's a woman who suggested, threesomes work if you always start and always finish with your woman. Canadian essence. Thanks. See, that makes me blush. And it's funny because I don't feel like I have an accent, but then when people say that I have an accent, I realize that I have an accent. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there's, the Jamaican kind of floats around until I get vexed and then it really, really comes out. But outside of that, yeah. Totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, so she said, always start with your woman and always make sure that you finish with your woman. And she's right. You know what I mean? You can't be over dicking down the woman that you've added to the threesome. Your main focus of flinging cocky has to be your woman. You need to make sure that she's satisfied first and foremost. Then you kind of join in with the woman that you guys have brought in and make sure that everything is cohesive. And then you need to finish with your woman. There needs to be a point of time where she understands within the threesome, she is still the most important thing. So the person who's joined the threesome, she shouldn't feel no type of way if you're laying down and kissing and caressing your woman after everything is said and done. If you're telling her how great and sexy and beautiful she wasn't, and how she did a fantastic job. S. Marie, what's going on? Mr. Twin Kennels, nice to see you. What's going on? You shouldn't, you know what I mean? The woman who is there for the threesome, she, not to be disrespectful to nobody, but she's there to be used as a tool for the two of you. You understand? So at the end of it, your focus should be your woman. You should be hugging her up and kissing her and caressing her and feeling up on her and reassuring her and letting her know that everything was great. You had a wonderful time and you enjoyed her that much more. You should never leave the door or the window open for her to feel insecure or for her to feel like you've paid more attention to the next pussy that was in the room and that you're more focused on the next pussy that's in the room. Gentlemen, you're going to fuck yourselves hard every time, and I don't mean that in a good way. You're going to end up in problems and argument with your girl, I guarantee you. Mr. Wright, I don't like to share anyway, and then there is the possible doubting of sexual performance and so much more. It just creates a whole crazy situation. And again, I'm not knocking threesomes. You know, speaking from personal experience, I'm not knocking threesomes. I think that it's a wonderful experience, but there is a way to go about it. Again, the man, like, you can't be the one who says, oh, that's the woman that I want, because she's going to automatically think this is a chick that you've been looking at for a long time. And I promise you, if even in that moment she agrees to it, afterwards she's going to use it against you and there's going to be some kind of argument between the two of you, and you don't want that to happen. You trust me, you don't want that to happen. It becomes a whole crazy, ugly situation, and you put your relationship at risk unnecessarily for what? For what? You know? And again, like, especially within the first 3 months, 3 to 6 months, you're just getting to know your girl. You're just getting to really understand her body. You're just getting to really be in a rhythm with her. Don't fuck around and don't fuck that up. You know what I mean? You're taking chances unnecessarily. 80th Wonder, I suggested ideas of polygamy on the basis of orientation and children. We're not even talking about polygamous situations. We're not even talking about a permanent situation. We're talking about you want to introduce another person into your situation for a day, just to have fun with. Not even talking about a long-term, this needs to be a third party to our situation. It's, you know what, you guys are you're feeling some type of way. You want to put a spark in your relationship. You want to do something that's fun and you want to introduce a third party. I'm talking about that. Not talking about a long-term polyamorous situation. Just like a one-time kind of go. In those moments, even still, whether it's a polyamorous situation or just a threesome for the night to have fun, again, still introducing those things so early on while you're still getting adjusted to your woman, to your woman's body, to her moods, to her cycles, to, you know, any of that sort of stuff. Introducing or trying to introduce that in the first 3 to 6 months, don't do it to yourself. You're going to end up in a bad situation. Canadian SSBBW Queen. Then there's the side chick and the men start creeping on the low. And that's the thing that I'm talking about, right? And this is what I'm saying to men. You put your, what's up, Don? You put yourself in a bad situation. You put yourself in a bad position because she's going to automatically think this was a woman that you've been looking at from before. Right? When you come to her and you say, you know, oh, what do you think about that one? Or I really like that one over there. Don't do it. Guys, I'm telling you, from a woman's perspective, don't do it. Let her be the one to choose. Don't steer her. Don't guide her. Give her guidelines on what it is that you like. And again, she should be paying attention and she should know what catches your eye or what pleases you. But never suggest a specific woman. You're going to fuck yourself out of an opportunity, and not in a good way. Great organza. It's a great thought to have it, but yeah, anyway, wrong move could cause you lots of problems. It could, right? Within, we're talking about, you know, we're not talking about 2, 3, 4 years down the road where you guys know each other. Yeah, by all means, you know, if that's something that you want to do. We're talking about, you know, within the first 3 to 6 months of a relationship, you know, and sabotaging yourself out of a relationship because you're trying to do the most. You're trying to do too much and not enough of the right things. It's crazy to me. You know, people get themselves into situations and end up damaging potentially great relationships because of selfishness, because of sexual greed, you know, because they want to do the most too soon. Again, I'm not knocking threesomes. I think that threesomes are great. You know, they can be fun and, you know, sexually fulfilling and meaningful experiences, but not in the first 3 to 6 months. If I'm with you and in the first 6 months you're like, oh, what do you think about us having a threesome? I'm going to be side eyeing you. I'm gonna, because in my mind I'm thinking like, you haven't even learned how to make me come properly. You want to make a next bitch come? You want to introduce a next chick into our situation to do what now? How about you focus on the pussy here that you have and making it a great situation? How about you focus on my body and making me feel fulfilled before you decide that you want to introduce somebody else into the relationship? Like, to me, in the first 3 to 6 months, that's absolutely crazy. In the first year, I think that that's absolutely crazy. But I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. I don't know if I'm thinking way left or way right, you know, but yeah. Great Organza, have you had any threesomes and were there any problems with the results? Woo! You're trying to get me to out myself. So yes, I have. And so in me talking about the first 3 to 6 months, I am talking about this from experience. So I was asked to participate in one many years ago. Sorry, Canadian SSBBW, but hun, don't you think if a couple has a threesome to spice things up within the first 3 months, why stay together? Why bother? But that's what I'm saying. If your mind is thinking about another woman within the first 3 to 6 months, it's usually the man that suggests that. You're setting yourself up for failure, and you might as well just done it and you guys just whatever. But I did. I was asked to participate in a situation, but I was asked. Okay, so this is what happened. The man in the situation said to me that his lady likes me. His lady is interested in me. So I was like, okay, cool. So he said, you know, would you consider being with us? So I'm like, if she's fine with it, that's okay. But I need to know that she's okay with it. Like, I don't want to feel like this is something that you're just bringing up or whatever, and it's going to be a problem. So, and so I must also say that he is somebody that I was with years before, and he and I were just at the point now of just being friends. And we, like, our sex life at that point was really good or whatever. Anyways, he's in this new relationship. She knows who I am. She and I have interacted and what have you, but he tells me that she's interested, she's attracted, she's bisexual. I'm like, okay. I'm not really bisexual. I was bi-curious at the time, so I didn't have a problem with those kind of things. So I said to him, as long as she's okay with the situation, as long as she's okay with it being me, I have no problem with that. But I need to know that she's okay with it. So I don't know where we were. He and I were sitting down talking. He calls her. He calls her, and you know, so I talked to her. She's like, yes, she would love to. And I was like, okay, cool. I think he and I were out. We were out having lunch. Just very simple, right? So we decided in that moment that we were going to then and there. So we got food. We got some liquor. We went to go pick her up. You know, I had been smoking. When we picked her up, she had been smoking. She and I got so I was sitting in the front seat, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out in, because I don't believe in that kind of disrespect, right? Mr. Right, I see the eyes sideways. So I went to go get in the back seat, and she stayed in the back seat. So things started happening in the back seat between she and I. So at first we started talking, and then, you know, one thing led to another, and things were going on in the back seat, and the back seat was getting heated up, and the back window was getting fogged up, and all them good things there. And it's funny because we're in traffic. He's driving. I can see that he's looking in the rearview mirror to see what's going on, because things are going on. And, you know, we're driving in traffic, and people are like looking and seeing what's happening and this kind of stuff. And, you know, he's feeling like a don, because, you know, he has these two women in the back seat, you know, going in with beer things. So we get to his apartment, and I'll tell you, it was a weird situation for me, right? Because we get to his place, and he has like pictures of her. You know, like there's a picture of her and him in the living room, and then, you know, so like that kind of jolted me, because I guess maybe I wasn't expecting that, and then I realized that maybe I was still like in my feelings a little bit. Nick, my darling, how are you? Oh, I'm so happy to see you. So yeah, so for a minute, I was in my feelings and I felt some type of way. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we were together. You didn't put up a picture of me and you, but whatever, right? So again, things are happening. We stop. We have a little bit of food. There's more kissing and touching and all them kind of things going on. He excuses himself from the room. She and I are interacting. More things are going on. We have a couple of drinks and we make our way to the bedroom. And it's an interesting dynamic to be the third party of a relationship that's already underway. And so as I'm watching, so I'm sitting back on the bed, sipping a glass of wine, watching the two of them interact. She comes over to pull me into the interaction and, everybody's involved. There's stuff going on everywhere. Everybody's touching everybody. Everybody's kissing everybody. Everybody's, licking, sucking, groping, grabbing, the whole nine. And then there comes a point, because like I said, he and I used to date years before that. There comes a point where now the penetration begins, right? So it's me and him. And she's watching and not actively engaged. And it was brief, but it was noticeable, right? So we didn't stop. He didn't stop. I didn't stop. We continued, and then I kind of like grabbed her and pulled her into the situation so she felt involved. But I could feel in her body that she felt some type of way because of the noises I was making, because of what it was that he was doing, because it was extremely pleasurable, right? And in that moment, there was no way for me to reassure her that it wasn't something that was pre-planned, because in my mind, and I remember this clear as day, I remember the details clear as day. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, sorry, I'm laughing at Great Organza. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, this has the potential to go bad really quickly, right? So I ease him away from me and steer him like towards her, so that he's more so interacting with her and I'm still the third party, Anyways, so everything's said and done. Everybody's had several orgasms. Well, she and I, he does his big finish, and I intentionally made it so that his big finish was with her, because in my mind, in that moment, I knew that if I wanted it, it would have been mine. But that was not the point of my being there. That was not the purpose of my being there. And I'm mindful about things because I really feel like karma is a motherfucker, and I'm not trying to, do some shit where it's going to come back to me in a bad kind of way. And it's a sensitive situation. So I was like, I made sure that the finish was with her. And while they were laying there and doing their thing, I got up to go take a shower to give them space. And the weirdest thing happened. He came to the shower with me. He came and he got in the shower and he's like, do you mind if I take a shower with you? I'm like, shouldn't you be in the bedroom with, so-and-so? And he's like, oh, she's fine. She's just laying down. I was like, okay. And so we're in the shower and he's washing my back. I'm making sure that I'm facing forward, because in my mind, I'm thinking there shouldn't be anything happening right now, because there shouldn't be anything happening right now, right? So again, we're in the shower. He's washing my back. I hand him his body wash. He washes himself. We switch positions. But again, it's weird. He and I are in the shower together. He's not in the room with her laying down, right? So I know right then and there, a whole set of argument is going to happen, even if that shit doesn't involve me, right? Risky, we're talking about introducing a threesome into a relationship within the first 3 to 6 months of your relationship and the issues that can cause. So Great Organza has asked me whether or not I've been in a threesome situation and how it went. Anyway, so we're at the end of the story. Like I said, we're in the shower together. I get out of the shower first. I towel down. I go into the living room to go get dressed. He comes out of the shower and I can feel like he's watching me as I'm walking towards the living room. So I'm like, skip to doodling really quick to get to the living room and put my clothes on. So I hear him go into the bedroom and I'm hearing like mumble conversation. Then the conversation's getting a little bit louder and then it becomes a mumble conversation or whatever. So he comes in the living room like, okay, so I probably should leave. And he's like, no, you don't have to. You can stay. And that's not Marie. She said Jones, he missed that. Girl, I don't know. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to be a part of nobody's problems or nobody's headaches. So I was like, you know what? I'll take a cab home. You don't need to drive me home. He's like, don't be ridiculous. I'll drop you off. I'm like, honestly, it's cool. You have something that you need to fix and you need to be here right now. I'll take a taxi. And he's like, no, I'm going to drive you. So we're having this fucking debate in the living room. I'm like, fam, your chick is in the room, obviously feeling some type of way, because y'all realize up to this point, she hasn't come out of the room. From I went to the shower and he left to come in the shower to come shower with me, she still hasn't come out of the room. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to show it to him, Jenna. I'm like, do you realize she hasn't come out of the room? She hasn't come out of the room to say anything. She hasn't come out of the room to say nothing to me. You obviously had some words with her or whatever. And I said, but you know, I'm just going to go catch a cab. You know what I mean? If you can call me a taxi, that would be good. You know, whatever. So I took a cab home. But yeah, I know that situation ended in an argument. Again, you start with your woman and you finish with your woman. Introducing a threesome early into the relationship, especially within the first 3 to 6 months that you guys are getting to know each other, don't do it. It causes all kind of problem. Listen to me. Don't be behind me and be that bitch to say like, okay, you know what? I really like her. Let me go get in the shower with her because I just finished fucking 2 of you. So it should be okay. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It just, and you know what? Hindsight is 2020. And like I said, this was years ago. This was when I was in my 20s. So this is like this is a long time ago. You know, hindsight is 2020. Had I had the presence of mind and not really thought anything of it, I should have, at the time when he said, do you mind if I come shower with you? I should have said no. But again, like because I'm not thinking about him, because I'm not thinking about her, it was just one of those things where like, okay, it's his house. I'm in his shower. He wants to get in the shower. I just seen all of his body. I just experienced all of his body. He's just seen all of mine. He's just experienced all of mine. What's the problem here? But in retrospect, it wasn't a good move. It wasn't, I should have said something, but he definitely, that was a move that he shouldn't have made. Because the message that sends to her is, he was looking for the Jones Pum Pum. He was looking to get up in the Jones Pum Pum. And you know what I mean? He wanted to, the way that it comes out across to me now that I'm thinking about it years later, it's like, he comes into the bathroom to come into the shower to set up something for himself later. Now, mind you, that's not what happened. That wasn't a conversation that we had in any way, shape, or form. But if I was her laying in the bedroom thinking about it, that's what I would be thinking about. Because my thought would be, why have you left the bedroom where you should be laying down caressing me to go stand up in the shower with her? She's your ex from years before, but even still, she's your ex. You shouldn't be doing that in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that's my... that's my threesome drama. I have the craziest stories. I swear to you, I have the craziest stories. Oh my goodness me. Exodus clothing. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So anyhow, at the end of that situation, I just, like I said, I hightailed it out of there. Had I been a different person, I would have said, yeah, drive me home. Don't worry about it. I don't care about her. But that, like I said, me knowing what my role was in the threesome, that was not my mindset in any way, shape, or form. And yeah. So that's it. Doobie the Prince, the Jones had him gone past the point he had to. We're not going to talk about all that. You know what? Honestly, Great Organza, I didn't think that's... See, my problem is I think that people think the way that I think. I think that people think the way that I think. And I think that I like to think that people think logically about the things that they should and should not do, right? So if I was in a relationship and my man was confident enough to grant me a threesome with another man, and I know people have all kind of issue about, oh, well, I would never touch another man or whatever, or that's a train if both people, whatever it is. So if I was granted a threesome with another penis, I would make sure that my man's dick was tended to first, in the middle, and at the end. Am I going to get up and go shower with the next man? Hell no. What? If anything, it'd be like, baby, come, let's go take a shower. It would be me and my man going to go do that. You know what I mean? The third person or the guy that comes into the situation, I'd be like, you know, thanks for coming. You can let yourself out, or, you know, you can go have a seat in the living room. We're gonna, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, whew. Nick's giving me the side eye because I just said 2 men. We're not going to talk about that. Oh my goodness me. That's a story. Yeah, right, Nick? Where's the sign-up sheet? That's a story for a whole other day. A threesome with 2 men. But, you know, again, introducing threesomes early into your relationship can cause an issue. paying attention to what you're supposed to do when you're in a threesome is absolutely detrimental. Men, if you're looking for a threesome, you need to start with your woman and you need to finish with your woman. Don't roll up behind the other bitch, but you're going in the shower with nobody. Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy from my experience. Don't be that guy. Mr. Right. Actually, Badass Jones, I've been extremely extravagant amounts of stupidity. Someone would surprise you. Listen to me. I don't know. Like I said, I always believe in the best in people, and I always feel like, common sense is still being given out in abundance, and daily I'm reminded that it's not. But, it's like people people want to be in the hype for the wrong reasons, and people want to do all these extra things in their relationship for the wrong reason, and honestly, you just end up sabotaging yourself. You end up screwing yourself out of a great relationship, or you end up screwing yourself out of a great opportunity. Again, within the first 3 to 6 months, focus on your lady. Focus on developing your relationship with one another. Focus on the health and strength and well-being of your relationship. Learn each other, figure out your rhythm. Stop trying to introduce, any new elements that you're introducing really and truly should just be between the two of you. Introducing a third party within that first 3 to 6 months is a problem. The only way it's not a problem if you know with certainty that your girl is bisexual, hands down. It's not bi-curious. It's not a question. It's not a curiosity. It's not a maybe, well, I might. No, you have to know without a doubt that she is bisexual. And that is the only way that introducing a threesome early on would work. And even then, let her be the one to pick the woman. Don't decide for her. Don't suggest, because in the back of her mind, she's going to think that you've been coveting another woman for whatever reason and for however long, or this woman is your side chick. Don't do it to yourself. Everyone's asking me to block Ibrahim. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, unless you stop with the comments, I'm going to have to block you at the request of the people's them, the good people's them, the pum pum people them. That's in. I gotta think of a name for you guys. I gotta come up with. That's what I need. I need suggestions for you, my listeners, my participants, for everybody who joins in, who comes and hangs out with me during these sessions. Mr. Wright, for every man who may not understand if anything you do doesn't have the queen as your focus, do not engage in it. Can I get an amen? Great organza. Amen. It's true. Your woman should always be your focus at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Period. Anyways, we're going to move on from that. So the other topic that we're going to talk about, while we still have another 20 minutes or so, and the choir says, the congregation says, amen, period. Mr. Craze Driver, what's going on? Welcome. Nice to see you. So the other topic that we're going to tackle, oh my gosh, this is a crazy one. So it's basically, if he doesn't beat me, he doesn't love me. So sometime last year, I had met a gentleman through social media, and we were talking, and we were in the throes of getting to know each other, and we were getting really close, and I thought that everything was going good. And then one day he hit me with the strangest thing that I just didn't even know how to respond to at all. And he said to me that he didn't know if he could move further into developing a relationship with me because I was very different than, okay, Mr. Abraham, you're getting blocked. And see you later. Okay, he's been ejected from the conversation. Yeah. Anyways. So, he said to me that he couldn't consider going forward in the relationship because, the last relationship that he had been in was very different, and he had gotten accustomed to being a type of way that he knew wasn't right, but he didn't know how to break himself of it. So basically what it was the relationship that he was in, the woman, the woman that he was involved with, at some point had trained him to beat her. And to the point where, craziest story, to the point where she wouldn't have sex with him and she wouldn't be intimate with him unless he tossed her around first or aggressively handled her. to the point where she would rush at him so that he would fight back. When he would like defend himself, be like, nah, I don't want to, da da da. Like she would rush at him for him to defend himself. And it was just the most craziest, convoluted story I'd ever heard. But then I realized it wasn't a unique story. There are people out there, there are women out there who feel like if their man doesn't beat on them first, he doesn't really love them. There are women who feel like there's a reggae song where it says, you know, basically that if he doesn't bust her up with piece of, if he doesn't beat her, he doesn't love her, and to the point where he almost beat her to death with a piece of iron, you know what I mean? That's how much he loves you. And it's crazy because it's like, I don't know, abuse is not love, right? Abuse is not love. I don't care who it is, you know, and we're not talking about children where it's, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. We're not talking about that. We're talking about abuse, conscious abuse, adult. You're an adult in a relationship, right? And the woman feels like if you don't put your hands on her, if you don't cause some sort of bruises where, you know, she can walk around like it's some kind of a badge of honor from some shit that she survived with you, that you don't love her. And this is basically the relationship that he was basically that. She had been so accustomed to being abused and associating abuse with love. So I guess whatever relationship she was in before that for years, you know, like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Sleeping with the Enemy. So basically she's married to this man, he physically abuses her, and then, you know, his response or his apologies is giving her gifts, buying her huge bouquets of roses, buying her jewelry, you know, leaving gifts beside the bed and what have you. So the guy that I was talking to, I think it was last year or the year before, the woman that he was involved with, the relationship she had come out of, it was a situation like that where the man that she was with, I think he said that they had been together for a really long time. His way of showing affection was to like beat her first and then make love to her, you know, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of passion, in the heat of aggression, in whatever the case may be, right? Yeah, sorry. Bree, what's going on, baby? What's up, goodie? How you doing? So she had become so accustomed to her ex-husband and her physically fighting before making love or physically fighting before having sex that this just became part of her psyche, and this just became part of what she was used to. So when she got together with the man that I was talking to, you know, that became their routine. That became their level of interaction. Anytime that they were going to fuck, anytime that they were going to have sex, there always had to be this aggression where he told me one time, like, he literally picked her up and threw her against the wall, and she got aroused and she got excited and she came at him, like she lunged at him, and I'm like, what? Just crazy. And so when he explained it to me, he said that like, that was her mentality. That if he didn't beat on her a little bit, if he didn't rough her up a little bit, if he didn't handle her aggressively a little bit, you know what I mean? Tatiko 305, what's going on? If he didn't handle her in that way, that she didn't feel like he loved her, that she didn't feel like, you know, he wanted her. And so by the time he met me, of course, you know, he's traumatized, you know, because here comes along AJ, who's relatively normal, doesn't want no man beating on her. Like, unless you're slapping my ass and things are gone, you know what I mean? I don't want to be picked up by nobody. I don't want to be picked up and thrown against nobody's wall. You know, we can talk about the choking, we can talk about the biting, the spanking, you know, the fun, pleasurable things within reason, you know, and there are bruises that get left because, you know, play gets a little bit rough, but rough to the point where I feel like you're trying to break a bone, rough to the point where you have to pick me up and fling me anywhere. Nah, boss, we're not there for none of that. We don't engage in no such behaviors at all. At all. Nobody's doing that, you know? But like I said, he was a really great guy. And so like in meeting me with, you know, my relatively normal mindset, he didn't know how to deal with that because he basically had 2 years of conditioning that he was trying to undo, you know, and then meeting someone like me, trying to fast track that unconditioning was just too much for him. So in the end of it, we stopped talking because it just became too emotionally overwhelming for him. And I respected that and I gave him his space, but I'd never come in contact with anybody who was in a situation. And then like I started doing research and I realized that there is a segment of women, for however they were raised, however they were conditioned as young women, however they were brought up, or for whatever it is that they were taught, that they really and truly believed from witnessing whatever they witnessed growing up as kids, that, you know, if there wasn't a level of abuse in the relationship, mental or physical, and especially physical, that the man didn't really love you. He had to lay hands on you, and not in an intimate, loving type of way, in order for, you know, for him to prove his love. There's a video, and I don't know who the young lady is in the video, but it's a young black lady. She's very slim. And she's talking about, even in sex, she doesn't want no gentle sex. She doesn't want no soft sex. You know, I want you to fling me up against the wall. I want you to rough me up and to bruise me and to grip me and to choke me the fuck out and all this kind of stuff. And I'm listening to her talk and I'm thinking like, baby girl, you can have passionate or passionately aggressive sex without having to go to the fucking ER, without having to break a bone, without having to, like, none of that. Bree said, but no, I'm not used to getting beat. Listen to me. I don't want no man to beat me. None. Like, again, when you're talking intimately, like you're choking somebody, but it's like that sexual pleasurable type of choking where, you know, you're slapping my ass or slapping, you know, the outside of my legs for stimulation, where you're biting on me for stimulation. That's one thing. We're talking about full on abuse before anything starts. I'm not here for any of that. Bree said she bruises easy. Great Organza, I don't and I will never belong to anyone. You can never leave bruises on me. You know, again, if it's bruises where they're sexual intentional bruises because I've asked you to grip a little bit harder, I've asked you to, you know, bite a little bit harder, or if I've given you the okay to slap my ass a little bit harder, that's one thing. But that precursor to sex where you're talking about, you know, fling me up against the wall and choke me out, and no. You know, and I know that there are people who like different things, but people have to understand that there's a line in the sand between actual physical abuse. That doesn't equate to love at all. 88th Wonder, pain is a turn on for some. It's a name for that. And this is my whole thing. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about the pain associated with sex. I'm talking about punching you in the face, throwing you against a wall where shit in your place is breaking. I'm talking about you're on the floor and I'm dragging you by your hair to the bedroom and then I'm going to fuck you. I'm talking about that type of abuse. I'm not talking about people who push their pain thresholds, because I'm a person who likes pain. I like sexual pain. I like pushing my boundaries. I like pushing my thresholds, and I like to do that with people, but that's with consent. That's a completely different thing. I'm talking about the type of abuse where a police report should be filed. That kind of abuse. Mr. Wright, abuse is senseless. Oops, I gotta scroll back. Abuse is senseless. The human body isn't supposed to be damaged to the point of hospitalization. Surely there will be love, passion marks with biting, nibbling, spanking, etc., but within reason. But that's the whole thing. It's within reason. You know, the situation that the person that I was talking to was talking about, that didn't sound like, you know, sexual passion. It sounded like abuse. You know, and he said that he had to end the relationship with her because it was taking an emotional toll on him, because he didn't want to hurt her. He genuinely just wanted to love her and be gentle with her. But she would say things to him like she would tell him that he's pussy. She would tell him that he's weak. She would tell him that he's acting like a bitch if he didn't physically hurt her first before they engaged in sex. To the point where she would physically withhold sex from him if he didn't beat on her first. Are you hearing me? If he didn't beat on her first. Again, we're not talking about during the act where you're slapping my ass or, you know, you're gripping my thighs a little bit firmer and I may get a bruise or two. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a good old-fashioned fight before anything happens. And that's just good. Listen to me. If I have to fight with you for you to have sex with me, I'm moving on to somebody else. Plain and simple. Nobody's doing that. We don't have time for none of that at all. Oh, my goodness me. Mr. Wright. I was about to say, I can't hit a woman like I'm going to hit. But, and that's my whole thing. I think the type of fighting that she wanted was that type of like to fight with him, excuse me, to fight with him like he was a guy. Again, you know, looking at people's history, looking at people's, mentality, looking at the way that people were reared, she probably watched her mother be abused and then, heard her parents make love after, and she somehow normalized that. And you do have people who do that. You have people who have experienced these things or grown up in these environments where this behavior becomes normal to them, so that when they become adults, no one says, no, that's not okay. They just automatically think that it is. Mr. I-95, we can playfully wrestle. That's about it. And again, it's not, what we're talking about is not playfully wrestling. Mr. Craze Driver, I've never been on a woman before. Too late to try now. It's insane for me to even think about that. Goody grabs her hair, I can tell. It was stressing me out. And the thing is, the gentleman that I was talking to or trying to get to know, he was a really great guy. But, every time talking to him and feeling the anguish in his voice when he would talk about his other relationships, I just knew he wasn't ready for another relationship. He definitely wasn't ready for me. Because the thing is, I'm going to kill you with kindness. I'm going to kill you with love. You know what I mean? I'm going to help you heal those wounds, but you have to be open to that. And he just wasn't in a place to receive that. And you know what I mean? It hurt my feelings, but I also understood it. He needed to heal in a way that I couldn't help him with, because I can't explain to him. He knew in his mind, because he has a daughter and he has a son, and he knew that's not something I would ever want to see my daughter experience. Because if I knew that a man was beating on my daughter before they had sex, even at her insistence, he would have to catch his ass in a beatdown, So inherently he knew that it was wrong, but because he loved her and this is what she insisted on, he actively participated and he did whatever it was that he needed to do. But yeah. Mr. Wright, yes, he definitely needs to heal and restructure his thinking. And that's why, after a lengthy conversation, I had to say to him, not that I can't do this with you, you just are not ready for this journey. And I'm not equipped to do this journey with you. There's a place that you need to go inside of yourself that I can't help you with. And I'm all for supporting people with, their truth, and all for supporting people with where it is that they need to get to be healthier and to heal. But there are just some journeys that people need to do by themselves, and I never wanted to be the person to push him or force him or make him feel like I was trying to make him do something he wasn't ready to do. So the best thing for both of us was for me to no longer be part of that situation. But, whoever that woman is, if she ever comes across my podcast or she ever comes across my YouTube channel, my darling, my love, you need therapy, you need help, you need counseling. Insisting that a man beats on you is the only way that he can show you that he loves you is wrong. Love shouldn't be painful that way. And it's not to say, in the real world, love does hurt. People are going to do things that hurt your feelings. People are going to do things that piss you off. People are going to do things that rub you the wrong way. People are going to do things that you don't agree with. That's part of the human experience. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about that type of stuff, because that's stuff that helps shape you and helps you to grow. I'm talking about the type of physical love that will physically break you down, that will physically damage you, that physically hurts, that cuts you, that breaks your skin, that breaks your bones, that sends you to the hospital. That type of love, that's not love. That's not love. Love does hurt. Anybody that tells you love doesn't hurt is lying to you. Love is a beautiful thing. Love shouldn't hurt, but love does hurt to some degree or other, but not to the point where you should be hospitalized for it. That's not love. So we've got about 7 minutes left. Thank you to everyone who joined in the discussion, and thank you to everyone for your feedback. Beanie, when you are the one to lose yourself in your partner, sometimes there's no going back unless you do the work. It's true. Mr. Wright, I couldn't imagine attempting to hit a woman violently. Right. Yeah, that's a discussion for another day. So before I sign off, I wanted to say, today I hit a milestone with my podcast. I broke 1,000 plays. I think the last time I checked, I was at 1,008. I wanted to thank everyone who has actively listened, who has shared my podcast, who has shared my YouTube channel, for everyone who has subscribed, to everyone who's been a guest, to everyone who sent in questions and emails and feedback, to everyone who has been supportive, to everyone who loves me, to everyone who has just, been part of this journey and part of this experience. Today is exactly 3 months to the date that I launched my solo podcast after leaving the other podcast that I was with. And I couldn't do it without all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot to me. I know maybe like 1,000 plays is not a lot, or just over 1,000 plays is not a lot. But for me, it was a milestone. It was a goal for the end of the year. Before 2000 and Keith Perry, what's going on? Before Mr. I-95, stop calling me Sugarfoot. Mr. Hennessy, Mr. Pitch Hennessy. But it was a goal for me to hit before 2019, and I hit it. I broke it, and I'm just going to keep pushing on. I have a really exciting episode coming up this week with S. Marie, who is the founder and host of The Real Girlfriend Experience. And then I have another great episode that's coming out before the year end. And I have a new project underway that's being brought to you by the Pum Pum Chronicles. I'm going to give you a teaser. I'm going to let you know that it's called The Hot Seat. And it's actually really, it's really, really great. It's a lot of fun. But yes, let's try to get me to 2,000 plays. But I just really wanted to say thank you to everyone and to let you all know how much I appreciate you. I know a lot of times people, acquire, I don't want to say fame because that feels like such a yucky word. Yeah, I said yucky. But you know what I mean? People acquire, like, they get popular in whatever the case may be, and then they forget about people who contributed to their popularity, or people who contributed to their sex, or, sex. Did I say sex? Sorry. Success. You see where my mind went? To people who have contributed to their success. You know what I mean? I never want to be the person that forgets where I came from, and I know that I have a lot of people in my life that will keep me humble, but I always want to make sure that I thank the people who helped me to, I know, right? Sorry. Yes, my sex, my success, Lord of his mercy. Sorry, the success, not sex. People who have contributed. I thank the people who have contributed to my sex as well, but that's not what we're here to talk about. People who've helped to contribute to my success, my popularity, and all that sort of stuff. I could not do this without everybody, and I always want to make sure that I let you guys know how grateful I am to you. Leave me alone. It was a slip of the tongue. It was a slip of the words. What do they call it? A Freudian slip? But yeah, that's it. So please make sure to follow the podcast. Wet Wednesdays is brought to you by the Pum Pum Chronicles podcast. My YouTube channel is up. It is the Pum Pum Chronicles pod. Every Wednesday I do a Wet Wednesday, which you all are here to join in. On Fridays, I drop the episode on the YouTube channel. Just in case you missed it, you can catch up on what you missed. Every Thursday I drop a podcast episode. My podcast is streaming on Apple Podcast, Apple iTunes. Y'all leave me alone, please. Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Anchor. And of course, follow the Pum Pum Chronicles pod on Instagram, and, I love you all. And I just want to say, thank you. Hubby wants to know how he can be in the hot seat. We'll talk. But you need to tell him that he has to be open to whatever it is that I ask, because the hot seat is a series of questions that you don't know. It's like when you go to school and your teacher tells you you're having a pop quiz. That's what the hot seat is. It is a pop quiz. So when you sit in the hot seat, you've got 5 minutes to answer 30 questions. You have no idea what the questions are going to be. You have to be open. They're not overly sexual. They're not overly intrusive, but there are some questions that ask you some shit. So if you're not ready for me, you don't want to come over here. But the hot seat, it's a lot of fun. My first guest was Dawn from Dawn of a New Day Photography. That will be coming out in a couple of weeks. That'll actually be the last episode that I dropped for the year. And then I'm going to be dropping everyone's individual hot seats. So it's a lot of fun. It's something to definitely look forward to. Yeah, so let's just say Dawn lost. And he has there are consequences, or there's a choice that you have to make at the end of it, or something that you have to do. So basically what ends up happening is, if you win, You can either, there are one of two things that you can suggest for me to do. And if you lose, you only get a choice of one thing, but you can choose within that. Yeah, it's very cryptic what I'm telling you, but you can choose within that what your one thing is going to be. Anyhow, that's as much information as I'm going to give you. Mr. I-95, you're going to be in the hot seat. Trust me. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Anyhow, y'all have a great night. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate y'all being here. Be safe. You know what? I think next week we're going to do a dedication to everybody that wants to join in and talk to me. And people who want to call in. I want to see what everybody has to say. With all these people who are rushing to talk to me and tell me that they love me. I want to hear what it is that they have to say. So we'll see how that goes. Depending on what my business manager says, if she says no, then it's a no-go. She shut that shit down real fast. Anyhow, talk to you guys later.